everybody. I'm going to try to keep this somewhat short and sweet. I do look forward to getting interrupted by one of the toddlers running around the house. I've got a 5, 3, and 1-year-old, so things are a little hectic around here. Anyway, Brother Scott Ingram made a video talking about the Textus Receptus and the critical text, and elaborated about what's going on between the two. Okay, I know that this is a broad study. It's some people I've spoken to don't think that it is something that we should spend a lot of time doing, because the danger in it can allude to that we spend so much time defending the text but not enough time in the text. So we have to create a balance there, especially as preachers. One of the things that I was going to share is my discovery, which actually really happened 6 to 10 years ago, whenever I went to a class. It's probably longer than that now. I went to a preacher's class where me and a couple preacher friends of mine were being trained by our elder pastors, my pastor and a couple other guys. And I came to a man, Dr. Baker, and I told him that like translations like NIV or something like that had verses missing, and I would not consider them as legitimate Bibles in that case. And he looked at me and made the statement that he needed more evidence than that. Not meaning he didn't disagree, but implying that you can't just make a blanket statement without solid evidence to prove your statement. So that is one of the things that led me to do what I'm doing today. Also, the essential doctrines are attacked by the modern translations, so to speak. Now, when we say modern translations, I know a lot of the TR advocates are going to say that the King James was the stop. I'm pretty hardcore about the scriptures, as some individuals would conclude. I would be considered a hyper fundamentalist. I also am a one to believe that the scriptures should have been copied word for word. I am extremely critical about that. Now, I get some things might need some push to better understand the text, but as you know, Deuteronomy 4:2 and Revelation 22:18 and 19, there's also a psalm, I can't think of the text right now, that expresses do not add to or take away from the scriptures. Okay, and then you got the whole argument there, which James White has already pointed out with my name, that is not what that's saying. So, whatever to James White. So, with that said, this is what the video was allegedly about and what I had discovered several years ago. One of the things that I had to do was go into the historical route to see exactly what is going on here, okay? And I didn't have to go too far. I simply went to the 1800s and found two men, B.F. Westcott and F.J.A. Hort. There's going to be some camera switching back and forth if I can get it to work, which it appears that I cannot. But here's the deal. These two guys, I believe, were used by the devil to create a countertext in revising the King James Version using a corrupted manuscript or manuscripts. We know that Codex Vaticanus and Codex Sinaiticus are the two main text manuscripts that were used in creating their New Testament Greek. And here it is, just to show. I do have a copy of it, although I can't read Greek. I am slowly learning to read Latin, which I think is fundamentally a plus in the sense of ancient witnesses to the text in general, version-wise, because anything outside the Hebrew and Greek in part of Daniel was written in Aramaic. Everything else outside of that is deemed a translation because it was transmitted into another language. So the Latin would be no different than our English translation, so to speak. If you take the Latin and translate that in English, you have translated from a translation. So this does not mean that it breaks down and ends up corrupted. This just means that you've taken it from one language to another outside of the Greek main text. But the Latin does give us a better witness than the Greek manuscripts in the sense because a lot of the Greek manuscripts that would bear witness to the Byzantine or the traditional text and the TR have been destroyed. So you can thank the Ottoman Empire and the Romans and all the other stuff throughout history with firebombing and all that, destroying libraries of manuscripts, and it ain't like any of that really mattered anyway, just out of sarcasm. So I do have the Greek New Testament by Westcott and Hort. Now, getting to my expression. Okay, all these translations, and I have a book with 27 translations, technically 28 because it has the King James in there with it. But I do have a large amount, well, I say a large amount, a lot of these translations I had never heard of until I had gotten my hands on this book. And this book is this. 26 translations. So my number was incorrect. So here is the table of contents of this book. You have the ASV, RSV, New American, NEB, which is New English Bible. There's many here that I had never heard of, and to be quite honest with you, whenever I built my 10-page printout for churches when I go and preach on the disputed text, doing the history of going into how those came to be and stuff is quite intriguing. There's a lot of interesting historical apparatus there. So this is one of the things that I have concluded. All those translations are based off of the Greek text that Westcott and Hort made, and you're like, well, no, those would be based off the Nestle Aland or the I'm trying to think of it, the United Bible Society. Okay, well, here's the thing. Regardless of editions of the United Bible Society and or the Nestle Aland, which United Bible Society has gone under a lot less editions, their Greek New Testaments technically are the same as Westcott and Hort. That's really where it comes from. Okay, if you want to be honest about it, that's what it is. The United Bible Society and Nestle Aland Greek text is the same as Westcott and Hort's. Maybe some slight changes, but for the most part, it's the same stuff. It's just a deceptive tactic from two different branches. Like, for instance, The United Bible Society is the Bible distribution arm of the World Council of Churches, I believe is what it's called. So, which that's led by the Vatican, go figure. And then you have the Nestle Island that's gone fixing to roll out I want to say their 28th or 29th edition or something like that. So they just keep revising it and blah blah. But they also say that we haven't arrived at the official finale of the text. So it's like, okay, you claim that we didn't have a Bible for 1500 years, and then you turn around and say that we have not arrived at the official New Testament text, and this and that, and it's like, guys, give me a break. Come on, y'all just do not believe in divine inspiration or inerrancy of the scriptures or anything like that. Okay, so this is one of the things that I have found. Alright, we have all these English translations, an explosion since the late 1800s to 1900s and into today. From technically Westcott and Hort's Greek text, based on mostly Codex Vaticanus, or commonly called B. This is also something else I found out quite intriguing, is that I come across the Kingdom Interlinear Translation of the Greek Scriptures, and apparently it's not being produced anymore. It was first done in 1969 by the New World Bible Translation Committee. Oh, the Jehovah's Witness translation. Check this out. Okay, this is the introductory page of its publication. Okay, and oh, look at that. The text revised by Brooke Foss Westcott and Fitton John Anthony Hort, 1948 reprint, together with the New World Translation of the Christian Greek Scriptures, revised edition. A modern language translation of the Westcott and Hort Greek text, first published by them in the year 1881. Man. Wow. I don't know if the Jehovah's Witnesses pay much attention to their literature. Check this out. Okay? Now, they say that the committee of the Jehovah's Witnesses that made the translation didn't know anything about Greek and Hebrew. Okay? Let's just say that that is the case. I don't know. I wasn't there. In John chapter 7 through 8, from starting with verse 53 on John 7 through 8:11, which we call this the Maricopa adultery, which is the woman caught in adultery. Okay, they say that that is a late reading and doesn't belong in the text. So check this out. Here is in the Jehovah's Witness Bible that I have, and it says manuscripts Aleph B Syriac, omit verses 53 to chapter 8 verse 11, which read with some variations in the various Greek text and versions as follows. Then they have it listed down there on what that says. Okay, I don't know if you saw that or not, but here's the deal. It's quite intriguing that the Jehovah's Witnesses would follow Codex Aleph and B in the Syriac, but yet they didn't know any thing about manuscripts and stuff. Okay, why would they put that in there? And it's right there, bam, right there. And they also go off of Westcott and Hort's Greek New Testament text. I think the committee was a little more intelligent than what people lead on to believe, but I haven't brought you to my conclusion yet. Okay, now check this out. The intro to the New World Translation is this. In 1969, the committee released the Kingdom Interlinear Translation of the Greek Scriptures, which presented under the Greek text revised by Westcott and Hort. 1948, a literal word-for-word translation into English. Okay. And then it says they've made it in 10 other languages and distributed reprints surpassing 39 million. Okay. Now, this is an interesting ordeal, and here's my conclusion. Westcott and Hort's Greek New Testament is mainly based on Codex B, or Vaticanus. Okay, what in the world does the term Vaticanus imply? It is a manuscript found in the Vatican Library. And if I'm not mistaken, it was released in the 1400s by the Vatican to the public, so to speak. And the Vatican is in charge of the translations coming out of the United Bible Society. So, here's my position. Okay, and this is to the critical text, and this is to help back up further on the TR side. All English translations and non-English translations backed up, or its Greek foundation, Codex, based on Codex B, or Vaticanus, the Jehovah's Witness translation, the Revised Version, and all translations in English especially, since then, including the NIV, ESV, NLT, RSV, NRSV, New American Standard, all of these translations, including the ones mostly unknown to people, these are Catholic Bibles, people. I'll just bring that out. This is my conclusion. The Roman Catholic Church teaches works to be saved, and they are stripping the essential doctrines out of the text. They're stripping from Jesus' deity. They're stripping from the Trinity, like 1 John 5:7. They're stripping Jesus' omnipresence, like John 3:13. They're stripping so much. It's a lot, and it's tragic. It really is. So that is my conclusion. That all these, what I call corrupt translations, I even go so far as to say that they're not even legitimate Bibles. They'll say, well, can you lead someone to Christ with them? Well, they didn't strip everything out because it would be too obvious. They want it to where you're not familiar with your Bible enough to see the issues in it, so whenever you are, and then they'll play on your uneducated expressions and say that, well, later manuscripts don't have this text and the early ones don't, so the earlier ones are better. That doesn't mean anything, guys. Okay, they're playing dumb against you so that you just accept what they say. That's how scholars work. Not all scholars are bad, but the critical text guys, they're bad. So the end of this is there is no end. They're not going to stop, and these are Catholic Bibles essentially. That is my conclusion. So hey, if you disagree with me, fine. But me, that's what I hold to, because that's what the research revealed, based upon the manuscript evidence that the text is based off of from Westcott and Hort, and all the other stuff, and what's taken out and given the United Bible Society and what's controlling it, and all the other stuff, guys. There is an agenda, and that agenda is to keep you in the dark, play on your stupidity, and have you believe whatever they tell you, instead of you doing the research on your own. So, there you go.